Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar. My name is Amy Haynes and I'm the Marketing Manager for Communication Products here at Macmillan Learning. I'm joined today by my colleague Heather Halter Kimball, who is our Learning Solutions Specialist, and Heather will be leading the product demo today. This is the final week in our April series of brief webinars where we've been highlighting some of our favorite digital resources for communication. Everything you'll see today is available in Launchpad, which is our online platform that delivers an ebook, homework, activities, and other learning resources. For this final week, instead of just focusing on one feature in Launchpad, as we have been doing in previous webinars, this week we're using each session to highlight multiple resources and features in Launchpad for just one course. And today's course is mass communication. Heather will spend about 15 minutes demoing some key functionalities, and then we'll open it up for questions. Whether you are brand new to Macmillan and you've never seen anything in Launchpad, or if you've used our books but maybe haven't ventured into the digital realm, or if you've used Launchpad but haven't had time to explore all of the features, we're glad you're here and we hope you might learn something new. So before I pass things over to Heather, I want to go over just a couple of housekeeping items in using the GoToWebinar platform. This panel that you see here is your control panel, your attendee control panel. You've been automatically hooked in here using your computer audio, your speakers, so if you can hear us, you should be all set, but of course if you prefer to call in on the phone, just click this little button next to phone call and a new window will pop up giving you the number to dial in. You may also notice that you've automatically been muted. This is just an automatic setting to eliminate background noise. We can easily unmute you when it comes time to ask questions. And speaking of questions, here are a couple of ways that you can interact with us while we're on the line today. You can use the raise hand feature, which is here up on the top left of your attendee control panel. This is the bottom icon. It looks like a hand. If you click this, it will signal me, and then I can unmute you if you need to ask a question or say something. You can also use the questions panel, which is on the bottom half of your attendee control panel, and you just type in a question, hit the send button, and that also comes to me. I'll be monitoring that, and I will either type an answer back to you or maybe hold it for the larger group Q&A portion, if that makes sense. So with that, I am going to pass things over to Heather.
Great, thank you, Amy. I appreciate the introduction. Let me go ahead and get some slides going here. All right. Well, thank you to everyone for coming today. We really appreciate you taking out time out of your day to meet with us. And we really do think, though, that what we're going to be talking about today is worth the time and the little bit of effort that it takes to get set up in Launchpad. These resources that we're going to discuss today really can be helpful for both you as the instructor and your students to really help relate more with your course's content. Again, my name is Heather Halter, and I'm your Learning Solutions Specialist for Communication with Macmillan Learning, which just means that I provide training and pedagogical support for instructors using our Launchpad products. Before coming to Macmillan, I got my master's in communication from the University of Central Florida. And while in school, I actually wrote my thesis on using online media in the classroom. So this idea of technology while teaching has been an interest of mine for years. After graduating, I taught public speaking for 5 years in a variety of formats, face-to-face, hybrid, and online. And most recently, I was the course director for public speaking at Full Sail University, where I led my department's implementation of speech class, which was the predecessor to what, of course, we now call Launchpad. And now my job is to help instructors use the same media I'm so passionate about. So again, I'm really excited to be speaking with you guys today, and I look forward to hopefully working with you should you decide to use Launchpad. Today, as Amy said, we're going to look at some features that are specific to our Launchpads for our mass communication textbooks, which in this case are Media and Culture, which just came out in its 12th edition earlier this spring, and Media Essentials, which will actually be coming out in a 5th edition later this year, available for your spring 2020 classes. What we're going to look at today specifically are the video activities, media literacy activities, and our interactive timeline feature, amongst other items available within Launchpad. So with that, give me a second. Let me exit out of my slides here, and we're going to switch on into Launchpad. Now, what we're looking at right now is the Launchpad for media and culture. Worth noting that, again, the Launchpad for media and culture and media essentials have very similar content items, and the functionality is exactly the same. So even if you are using media essentials, you may think this isn't the right Launchpad, you're still good to go. This information will still apply to your course. I'd like to start off with a really quick overview of Launchpad, just in case if anyone's not familiar with it. And of course, I keep throwing this word around. Launchpad is the online platform that accompanies our textbooks. So everything in here is meant to enhance both the student's experience with the book and any existing work you're doing in your class as well. We know you guys are great instructors. We just want to help make your course even better for your students. So with Launchpad, everything is, for the most part, divided up by chapter. We do have a couple of additional items down at the bottom, but any chapter you'd like to explore the resources for, simply click on it to open the chapter, and you'll see all the resources that we have for that particular chapter. Worth noting, everything's very clearly labeled in here with these little green parentheses afterwards. Anything you want to check out, simply click on it to open up, and you can preview the item. In this case, this is one of our video activities that we'll take a look at in a minute. By clicking the home button, you can get back to that main page. And if you decide that this video is something you'd like your students to watch as homework, all you have to do is click on this assign button that appears over on the right-hand side of the page. Click a due date. Oh my goodness, how are we at the end of April already? Give it a point value and click assign. That chapter will then jump to the table of contents here under the assignments heading. And you can see now that that blue to do button along with the due date is listed there, which indicates this is ready for your students to complete for a grade as homework. Worth noting that each chapter will have the same types of essential activities. Each chapter does contain a full ebook. Students can read it through both Launchpad, and it's also available as a downloadable ebook that you can read offline. And then we also have pre-built chapter quizzes, our learning curve adaptive quizzing, and our instructor resources, which include lecture slides, iClicker questions, and we also have an instructor resource manual available with suggestions for activities and chapter outlines. But what I want to really dive into is the specific mass communication course resources we have in here. For that, I'm going to go ahead and jump into chapter 2 here. And again, I'm going to look at these labels. The first thing that I want to take a look at are going to be what are labeled videos. We have several of these for each chapter. Admittedly, the exact number does vary from chapter to chapter, but there will be at least 2 per each chapter. Again, anything you want to check out, simply click to open it up, and we can preview our video here. I'm not going to press play on it just because the audio won't transfer through this Zoom meeting, and it may look a little glitchy, but you get the idea. Press play on the video. You have all the standard controls down at the bottom. Worth noting that our videos do come with closed caption and downloadable transcripts as well. After students watch the video, they are then presented with some open-ended questions, and it just asks them to, the questions will vary from video to video. Some of them relate directly back to the video, just kind of checking to make sure that they actually watched it and took something away from it. And in other ways, sometimes it asks them to reflect on how a particular concept applies to their life. Student responses are of course recorded, and you can view the results under this button in the upper corner. Our video activities in here range from pop culture references to interviews with industry professionals. For example, our net neutrality video, we actually speak with the former chairman of the FCC. And we do continually update these videos as well with new editions. So when that new edition of Media Essentials comes out, you can be sure that we'll have some new ones in there. Also worth noting, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but we do have the ability to add your own videos into Launchpad using our video assessment program, which is something we discussed 2 weeks ago in this webinar series. And I can always meet with you to get a little bit more information about that. And we also have some suggested activities available for that as well, which I'll cover towards the end. But I'd just like to point out that video assessment can be used if you as the instructor have a video you'd like to share with your students. You can then have sort of a video discussion board, have your students ask questions, assess the video in some way, or your students can also maybe record any projects and submit them to you as well. The next item available in each chapter that I want to touch on are the media literacy activities, and these are kind of the flagship feature. These have students work through a 5-step critical process that author Richard Campbell has incorporated throughout all of the editions of Media and Culture here, and Media Essentials as well. We start off with an evaluation. We start off by thinking about, in this case, online safety and privacy, and the student has sort of a little reflective moment. Oh, I knew that didn't seem right. For some reason, it started me in the middle. Sorry about that. That's why that seemed strange to see evaluation first. So sorry about that. This activity works as sort of a little clickable walkthrough. Students start off with an introduction. They're presented with what the objective is of the activity, and they click the next arrow. We give them a review of the critical process, which is helping to develop media literate critical perspectives. Students will walk through description, analysis, interpretation, evaluation, and engagement. And worth noting that as an instructor, you're able to click through these at will. Students will not be able to actually work through them without actually answering questions first. So you're going to see a little pop-up that says that in a minute. That's just all that means. Here we provide students with a couple of websites to read through. And then of course we present them with some questions, provide a synopsis of the work you've done, and submit. And that's just that little pop-up I was letting you know about. We then have analysis, where you discuss and focus on patterns that emerge from the research you did in the first step. From there, we come to interpretation, where you're asking, what does this mean? And so what do those results mean? What is the impact on us and as individuals, as culture, and our culture and society? We come next to evaluation, which is where the student comes to a judgment of good, bad, neutral, maybe a good with an asterisk, bad with an asterisk. And last, we arrive at engagement. What actions can you take to make changes in this area? What can you do as a person? What can you encourage others to do? Again, we have one of these for each chapter, and from what I've heard from instructors, they're actually a really useful activity, and students do actually kind of enjoy working through them as well. It really has them critically think about the topic at hand. The next feature I want to take a look at is what we call our interactive timeline. And if you're logged into Launchpad, or whenever you do log in, you'll find this actually at the bottom of the table of contents. It's sort of an overarching resource, so it doesn't fall into one particular chapter. So we just gave it its own little space towards the end. When you look at the interactive timeline, I want you to think about, how do you currently approach teaching history in your course, and do your students have problems comprehending it? And if so, that's where this can come really handy. This isn't necessarily an activity per se, but you can certainly come up with a lot of activities that will help students use this, and then of course apply it to the course content. This gives students a bird's eye view through media throughout history. It can help them visualize major events. They can see how different industries interact, and they can also explore how a particular media affected certain periods of time and vice versa. Students can choose to explore by industry, digital media items, sound and images, words and pictures, and mass media. Students can, of course, scroll through these industries over time. Everything is listed in order, all the major events here. And one idea for how to use this is an in-class activity. You can split your students into 4 groups, 1 for each of these areas, and have them analyze and look at historical influences. Or for homework, you could have them pick an industry, look at its reception and impact. You can also choose to compare 2 industries, so anything you want to look at side by side. Perhaps we want to see how advertising fits in with magazines. And we can see the various items throughout history in those areas, which of course would be very closely intertwined. You can see these events in relation to each other, which came first. An idea of an activity for this, maybe compare and contrast the historical context. Could both of these items be affected by the same influence or different ones? You can also choose to look by time period and clicking on a particular decade. You can see all industries and world events as well. And this can be great to look for an essay on all things happening during a particular time frame. You also have the option to search by a particular key term. All of these suggestions for activities and some good instructions for both you and your students can be found right below the interactive timeline, where we have both a student guide and an instructor guide available as well. And in addition to all of these resources in each chapter, worth noting that if you come over to the resources button on the left-hand side of the page here and click on content by type, you can get a nice overarching view of everything that we have available within Launchpad. The last thing I do want to touch on really quickly is just worth noting, if you're using our media and culture textbook, we do offer what we call digital updates. These are going to be available twice a year. The first one will be coming out over the summer, and then we offer one again in the fall. These show up automatically into your course. There's no manual work you need to do. It's just going to appear there. And we include various text options and activity options to make sure that you always have the most current research available to teach in your class. So hopefully you've now seen what a great asset Launchpad can be in your mass communication course. Just a recap of all of the activities in here. We of course looked at video activities, the media literacy activities, interactive timeline. Each chapter will have pre-built chapter quizzes, learning curve adaptive quizzes, a full ebook to read online or to download, and then of course we have our video assessment program, which has many, many uses for your course. We've got a few items here on how to use self-submit or the comment-only activity. And these items can be found in the video assessment folder within Launchpad. With that then, thank you so much for your time. I'm happy to meet with you if you'd like a little more help getting this set up, or if you just want to explore the resources a little more. But with that, I will pass it back to Amy and we'll open it up for some Q&A.
Thanks, Heather. So I've unmuted the line. If anybody would like to ask a question or have a comment or want to see something again or something further, I have gotten a couple of questions in the question box, so I can share those if nobody wants to speak up right now, which is totally fine. So Heather, we did have a question in the box about these things that can be assignable, specifically the video activity and the media literacy activity, and this person would like to know how that works if they are using their campus, their Canvas gradebook, how that works.
Great question. So with many schools, we do have set up what we call deep integration with Blackboard, Canvas, D2L, and Moodle. And what happens is, as the instructor, you would first go into Launchpad and set up the activities that you want your students to complete, again, just by clicking that Assign button. And then you go into your school's LMS course and set up links out to each of those activities. And so what that does is it provides your students with a seamless experience. Our content lives right alongside any content that you already have set up. So if you want them to do the media literacy activity for chapter 1, they will see that link in your Canvas course, click on the link, and it seamlessly takes students into the activity. Then any grade that the student receives for that activity will automatically transfer back into your LMS or Canvas gradebook as well. So a seamless experience for your students, and then also really handy and helpful for you as well.
Great, thank you. And then we had one more question. You mentioned the media and culture digital updates, and this person would like to know how that works if they need a new ISBN, when those updates come, where that information goes, the logistics of that.
It is all done automatically, no work on your part, no ISBNs, no creating new courses. It's literally just when we push the updates through, typically at the end of May and the end of December, you'll log into your Launchpad course after they're in there, and it will just automatically appear at the bottom of the table of contents there. And so from there, you can explore it just like you do any other resource. If there's an activity you'd like to assign, again, you assign it the same way.
Okay. Okay, I think unless anybody else on the line would like to ask a question, keep it open here for a minute. And if not, then we will move on and wrap up. Okay, so here are just a few ways that you can follow up on what we have discussed today. If you would like to take a closer look at digital resources for Mass Comm or any other communication course, you can use the first website listed here. It's meetme.so/Heather Kimball. And you can schedule time with Heather. She mentioned this earlier in the session. This will just take you to an online calendar. You pick a date and time that works for you and set an appointment. It's very easy. I would highly recommend taking advantage of this. Heather is a wonderful resource. She can show you stuff that you haven't seen before, or if you've tried using something and you'd like some guidance, she's wonderful for that too. So I will make that plug for Heather. And then if you would like to browse our catalog, you can go to the second website here, macmillanlearning.com/communication, and you'll find all of our communication books and digital products organized by course. And then if you'd like to just learn a little bit more about Launchpad on your own, you can go to this highlighted website here, launchpadworks.com, and you can find demo videos and case studies, and you can just explore those resources at your leisure. And for anything else, if you don't know who the Macmillan rep is for your school, if you would like a desk copy of something, or if you just have any questions, want to know more about anything you saw today, please don't hesitate to send me an email. This is my address here at the bottom of the page, amy.haynes@macmillan.com. I am happy to answer your questions, point you in the right direction if I don't know the answer, and help you with anything else that you need. And then lastly, I will make another plug for just the rest of the webinars that we've got this week that are wrapping up our April series. We'll host 3 more sessions this week, each one focused on a different course. So tomorrow's interpersonal communication, Thursday is the human communication intro course, and then Friday is public speaking. Tomorrow's session is at 2 o'clock Eastern, Thursday is 1 o'clock Eastern, Friday is 12 o'clock. You can use this highlighted URL here in the bottom left, the tiny.cc/CommSpringTraining to sign up for any of these. You can also go back to the original invite email you received about today's session. It's the same registration link. I've also included our past topics here in blue and light blue, kind of on the bottom half of that slide. It's just if you'd like to see what we've already covered, if you are interested in seeing recorded sessions for any of these, please send me an email and I'll be happy to send you that link. So thank you for your time today. We look forward to connecting with you again soon. Have a great day.